Happy June 17th, Saturday. I just wanted to have a quick talk about Saturday working double time, making $196 an hour, and how do you get to a spot where you have a company van, you get to make $196 an hour plus benefits. So one of the first things I'll just let everyone know that if you want to get to this position, you can't be comfortable where you're at. If you're comfortable and you like knowing exactly what you're going to do when you wake up in the morning, and you want to know what time you're going to take break and what time you're going to do lunch, and exactly everything's laid out for you, it's kind of cookie cutter, then you'll never get to this position. So the first thing you need to do is, obviously, as a union wireman for 332, is you need to get in and become an electrician. And to do that, you have to want it. And there's so many people that ask me all the time, how do you become a union electrician? How do you get in? Well, do you really want it? And if you really want something, like some of the stuff that I've really wanted, then you make it happen. And that means you have to sacrifice. So if you're going to sacrifice, that means you're going to have haters around you telling you that you won't be able to do it, you'll never get in, you're wasting your time, stop. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that's what I've heard from 2009, 2008, back when I started doing electrical. Everyone told me, you're wasting your time, stop, you shouldn't be doing this, blah, 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 right? The next thing I always heard, as soon as I started getting into a non-union vocational school and learning some basic electrical stuff, was people would tell me, hey, all we do is MC and Romex. We don't do pipe anymore. And of course that was a total fucking joke. The first day on the job, they asked me, can you bend pipe? And I'd only bent pipe in the lab. They'd give me a piece of half-inch EMT, which is hilarious because that's the friggin' easiest squiggly pipe you could possibly bend. And nobody knew how to do it, so they gave me a pipe and a bender, and there you go. I bent up some pipe, and I became the pipe guy. Now, throughout my whole career, I've always heard this, oh, well, we don't do industrial work. We don't do controls. We don't do this. We don't do that. Well, it's funny because ever since I got into the union and all the big jobs I've been doing, yes, I've been doing a lot of pipe, doing a lot of MC, doing all kinds of stuff, but as soon as I turned out, I drug up. First 2 weeks after I turned out, I said, make me foreman or get rid of me. And this is working 6 days a week, making almost 190 grand a year. I drug up from $100 plus an hour job, right? And went to another company because I knew I'd learn from somebody else doing a big data center. And when people are really sharp and they're experienced, you go with them. So at another huge data center, I start working there, and immediately I start learning how paralleling switchgear, ATSs, MTSs, generators, UPSs, all these different systems. And of course, I'm bending pipe, but in the meantime, I'm asking people, how do all these things tie together? And when I started doing that, I got to do a lot of good pipe bending, a lot of different stuff, worked 6-7 days a week. I got to a point where all I was doing was pulling in cable, and I know how to pull cable, and I certainly know how to bend pipe. So am I growing? Am I learning? No. So I drag up. That was paying me over, that was a journeyman back then, 75 an hour. So I drag up from 75 an hour. And when I mean drag up, I mean I quit. And when I quit, I go to the books and I sign up because I know there's a water treatment job that needs people, and I get a job working down at the water treatment, making the same amount of money, but now I get to do rigid pipe. I get to thread. I get to do OCAL, which is the PVC coated rigid. I get to do stainless steel cabinets. I get to do all of this instrumentation work, which I've been studying and working on for years. All of a sudden, all the foremen and all the other guys there, I am the guy. I'm unfireable because I know how to read the prints. I know how to pull in all the correct cables. I know how to, basically, I'm working off of 3 different sets of drawings, and I'm figuring all this controls and the instrumentation and the process meters and the flow meters, temp, pressure, level, all this stuff. I'm showing them how to do all this stuff and pulling in and getting everything set up and making up huge cabinets. Well, one of the things I got to do is I got to do a VFD replacement. And that's, once again, people always tell you, well, we don't do controls. Well, I'm here to tell you, basically, fuck you. Yes, we do. And one of the things I got to do was replace an old VFD and put a new one in. And one of the first things you have to do is you have to pull up the spec sheet. You have to go online, figure out exactly how all the old controls are going to splice into the new VFD. And when you start up the new VFD, one of the things you have to do is program it. And that's where people get lost. They don't know how to read. They've apparently lost the ability to read manuals. So if you can read the manual, and if you don't know how to read the manual and you're still stumped, you can always call the manufacturer, which is something else I always was amazed. People are always scared to call the manufacturer. So there's been situations where nothing on the manual tells you what you need to know. You call them up and immediately they're like, oh yeah, you do this, this, and this. Problem solved. So once I got enough info from that job and we were getting to a good stopping point, I quit that job. I did some other data centers. But at the end of it, I've been through 10 different companies, quit, hired back on, quit again, hired back on, and back and forth through all these different companies. And finally I get to where I'm at right now, doing service work. And one of the things with service is you never know what you're getting into. You never know. There's no prints. You're working on hot equipment a lot of times. You have to constantly be careful what you're opening up because you're into old pieces of equipment that can blow up. And you're doing all kinds of really, really interesting stuff. And the only reason I got to this point, like today on a Saturday, making $196 an hour, was because I was not comfortable. I wanted to go out there and keep learning. I wanted to push myself as hard as I could. And that's something that all these wiremen and foremen and GF have to keep doing. Never be comfortable with your knowledge level. Always strive to learn more and become better. So there's my Saturday rant. Hopefully you're out there studying. All the apprentices that maybe are on there, keep studying, never stop. Remember, electrical is 24/7. So when you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep, you live, breathe, and eat electrical. And that means you got your code book and all your controls book and all your pipe bending books and all your stuff, right? You're constantly working on it to make it happen. So never let people tell you that we don't do something, because I'm here to tell you we do it, and you might be the only person in the job site that knows how to do it, and that leads to more money and better conditions for yourself. So, all right, have a good weekend. Talk to you later.